It is the Monday after a Browns loss. I'm Dan Labbe. He is Chris Fedor. This is our Monday Browns call-in show. We're going to be with you for about the next half hour. You can jump in the comments below and interact with us there, or you can call in 216-772-1373. That number's right there on the screen, so we want to get your calls as well. Vent about a frustrating Browns loss because, Fedor, this was a game I talked about it on a couple shows yesterday.
Yep.
This isn't a game that the Browns lost because the Ravens were better or because the Ravens did anything better than them. This was a game that the Browns lost because of the Browns.
Yeah, you're right. And that's how I felt exactly when it went final too, Dan. I said to myself, okay, what am I going to remember from this game? Am I going to remember the great plays that Baltimore made, or am I going to remember the missed opportunities from the Browns? And to me, it's more about the missed opportunities from the Browns. That's taken nothing away from Baltimore. Baltimore is a terrific team. They're a playoff-tested team. They came up, they made plays down the stretch when they had to make those. But I remember the missed field goal from Billy Cundiff, the blocked field goal. I'll remember Brian Hoyer missing Andrew Hawkins. One throw, needed to make one throw to convert a third down, couldn't make that throw. Those are the things that it shows that the Browns have to get to the Baltimore level.
216-772-1373 to talk about the game. And Chris, I don't even know how much of it was Baltimore making plays.
Right.
Joe Hayden getting beat down the sideline. Come on, Joe.
Yeah, that's
you can't let that happen.
That's the thing, Dan. I mean, the Browns have invested so much in this defense in terms of resources and dollars. Think about the last couple of years. You give big money to Paul Kruger. You give money to Carlos Dansby, Dante Whitner. You use a top 10 pick on Barkevious Mingo. You use a top 10 pick a couple of years ago on Joe Hayden. So this defense is supposed to be the strength of the team. They were supposed to take that next step. Mike Pettine's a defensive-minded guy. That's the other thing here in play. You had your strength against Baltimore. You had your best cover corner against Baltimore's best, and you lost.
Yeah.
You can't have that happen when you put so much into the defensive side of the ball.
And frankly, Baltimore didn't have a lot of weapons out there.
Nope.
You know, Dennis Pitta was out. Torrey Smith, who knows what he's doing this year? He's got like 4 catches this season. Yeah, I mean, Steve Smith is the only guy on that field that could have made a play there.
Yeah.
And he beat you.
Yeah, Joe's got to make that play. Joe Hayden has to make that play. That's why they paid him the big bucks. They are paying him to be an elite shutdown corner. That's the expectation. That's what the Browns need from him. He said he was ready for that challenge. He talks a lot about wanting to be in the conversation with Darrelle Revis and Richard Sherman and Patrick Peterson and how he belongs in that conversation. The way that you do that is by making winning plays when the game is on the line. And he didn't do that yesterday. And you know what, Dan? He didn't do that against New Orleans necessarily. I mean, New Orleans was the team that went up ahead of the Browns, and it took Brian Hoyer coming from behind for a game-winning field goal. You go back to Pittsburgh. The Browns defense had a shot again against the Steelers. They didn't get it done. Go back to last year. Joe Hayden gave up the pass to Cecil Shorts and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Those are the plays that usually define your career. Richard Sherman, why is he looked at as one of the best cover corners? Because the play that he made in the NFC Championship game to deflect that ball, get the interception for his team, Joe Hayden hasn't come up with a single play like that. I can't remember one in his career, Dan.
No, I mean, I can't really either. And this year he hasn't really made any huge plays, just generally speaking. Now, you look at what really lost this game for the Browns. Of course, we'll talk about Brian Hoyer's pass to Andrew Hawkins. We'll talk about the inability to run the ball on that series, just in general.
Yeah.
But the thing that kills you, your defense finally does step up in the second half of that game. They get that 4th down stop. I don't know why Baltimore was going for it on 4th down, but they get that stop. Paul Kruger gets a hit on Flacco. Gibson gets an interception. Second week in a row we've seen that. No points coming out of these drives.
Right.
And that kills you.
And it's the thing about this game, Dan, to me, that was just so frustrating. And look, the Browns showed that they belonged on the same field with Baltimore, and that's a big step in the right direction. And it's something that we haven't been able to say the last couple of years. In saying that, it's the missed opportunities. When you have a team like Baltimore in your stadium on the ropes, you have to capitalize. You can't leave points out there. And the Browns did that too much. It wasn't just Joe Hayden. It wasn't just Brian Hoyer. It wasn't just the defense overall. It wasn't just bad special teams or bad coaching. It was all of those things. There are so many things that went wrong in that game. That's what makes it so frustrating.
And everything went so right in the first half, for the most part. The run defense was terrible all day. But everything went so right in the first half. And that stadium was loud, and it was electric. And honestly, with 2 minutes left in that game, fans felt like they were going to come away with a win.
Can you explain why the run defense is so bad, please?
I have no idea.
Can somebody explain that?
I have no idea.
You have Phil Taylor, you have Atapa Rubin, you have Desmond Bryant, another guy that you use big money on in free agency. You've got Carlos Dansby. The players should not be a problem when it comes to stopping some dude whose name I can't spell and I didn't know how to pronounce until Spiro Ditas did it at the pregame.
Lorenzo Taliaferro.
Yeah, I thought it was Taliaferro, but apparently it's Taliaferro.
Yeah,
that guy can't run for 90 against you.
This guy isn't just a backup. This guy is the backup to the backup to the backup. I don't know, maybe string that out a couple more.
He was fourth.
Yeah.
He was fourth on the depth chart to begin the year because they thought they were going to have Ray Rice. Well, they didn't, obvious reasons why. They thought they were going to have Bernard Pierce after Ray Rice. Well, he was out of the game. They thought Justin Forsett, because he knows the offensive scheme from Gary Kubiak, their time together in Houston. That guy stinks.
No,
he's a third down running back. They learned that really quick. So they go to the fourth string running back, and he goes buck wild against the Browns.
That was and they have, you know, a kid from Medina, a fullback. Again, another name you probably can't pronounce or spell. Yeah, exactly. Catching a touchdown pass.
Yeah.
And I think what kills you defensively, scheme-wise, is, you know, when Pitta was in the game, he was wide open.
Yeah.
Most of the game, most of the time he was out there. Your fullbacks were killing you. And when you play the Baltimore Ravens, if you've just watched, you know, 2 halves of Baltimore Ravens football, you know Steve Smith, the tight ends. Those are the guys you have to cover.
Yep, right.
And the Browns didn't really do either.
Right, you're absolutely right. And that's the thing. And you don't know why either. Because you look on that side of the ball and you see talent all over the place. Talent on the front four, a talent at linebacker, talent in the secondary. And yet this is a team that gave up 30 in week 1 to the Steelers. And then you sat there and you said, well, it was the Steelers. They got really hot in the first half. They scored 27, only 3 in the second half. Then they give up 24 to New Orleans. And then you say again, well, it's New Orleans. New Orleans is a great offense, so we're going to cut them some slack. And then they give up 23 to Baltimore. And you can't continue if you're going to consider yourself a top 10, top 5 defense. If you're going to talk, and the Browns' defensive players, they talk a lot, man.
Yep.
They really do. Tayshaun Gibson talks, Carlos Dansby talks, Joe Hayden talks, and it's fine if you're going to back it up. But you can't give up 20 or more every single week and expect Brian Hoyer, Taylor Gabriel, Andrew Hawkins, rookie running backs to go out and score 30.
Your signature offensive play right now, by the way, for the Browns, is receivers just kind of running around in circles trying to get under a football.
It's amazing. It's absolutely
We had Andrew Hawkins doing it last week, and look, that was a throw where Hawkins came open late. Hoyer just needed to get him the ball.
Yeah.
This one was a throw into the wind, and it was windy out there.
Oh, here you go.
But Gabriel's running around in circles trying to get under this thing, falls down, gets back up, and still can't get in the end zone.
It's, you know, Brian has been good this year. I'll admit that. And I was a guy that was hard on Brian coming into the year. But my man throws the worst deep ball I've ever seen in my life.
He does underthrow him a lot.
Oh, and that thing was quacking. Again, I thought the wide receiver was going to call for a fair catch. That should have been a touchdown. That's a missed opportunity, man.
And that's an issue too, where his timing on the throw was off. You gotta, if you can't throw it that far, you got to throw it earlier.
His lots of things were off on that.
Yeah. So hey, speaking of Brian Hoyer, before we get to grades, before we get to game balls, yesterday I'm looking at his numbers right here. Pretty good numbers. If you have, if you've got Brian Hoyer on your fantasy team, I don't know why. You're okay with what he did. 19 of 25, 290 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah.
Missed that throw to Andrew Hawkins, which is a throw you got to make. And listen, if we're going to say that Brian Hoyer led that game-winning drive against New Orleans and everything else in that game is forgotten, you got to flip that around in this game and say, Brian Hoyer had a great game, but when he needed to make one throw, he didn't do it. And that's why you can't, we'll get into grades a little more, but that's why you can't give him an A in this game. Maybe you can't even give him a B in this game.
You're right. Those are the plays that define you. Those are the plays that separate you. And you're exactly right. We forgot about the 9 of 21 start against New Orleans because of the game-winning drive. Some people forgot about the third quarter in Minnesota last year when he was an absolute disaster. because of that game-winning drive. So if you're going to be defined by what you do late with the game on the line, Brian Hoyer didn't get it done yesterday with the game on the line. That was a pass. Andrew Hawkins was open. We've had so many conversations, Dan, about this wide receiver group. Can they get open? Can they catch the ball? Can they be enough of a threat to replace Josh Gordon and Jordan Cameron when he's dealing with this shoulder injury and he's less than 100%? Hawkins was open. He did his job, and Brian Hoyer missed him. Those are the throws that you can't miss.
Another thing I would have liked to have seen on that drive, too, this is complete and total hindsight, but on second down, let's say, why not run a little play action? Something like that. Why? I know you want to keep the clock moving, but why put yourself in a position, if you know Brian Hoyer's your quarterback, where you have to make a third down throw?
I agree.
I mean, why not try? How many times have we seen the Browns on the opposite side of that?
Yeah.
A team runs a play action in a running situation. You get somebody leaking out to one side, you get 6-7 yards, you get a first down, game over.
I like that. I like the aggressive mentality, and that's the thing. Mike Pettin is so aggressive. By nature, he's aggressive. He was bringing blitzes. Jim O'Neill, aggressive. Kyle Shanahan, aggressive guy. They were doing some things yesterday where I was like, yeah, nice. So you would think, Dan, that they would have gone aggressive there. See if they could catch Baltimore napping. See if they could make that one play that was going to determine the game. That winning play. Against Baltimore, they haven't been able to do that lately. And they had an opportunity yesterday, and I would have loved to see them do something along those lines.
Yeah, they kind of got away from what they were doing. I mean, they ran that Johnny Manziel play, which was illegal. But, you know, you see things like that. You see them doing all these pitchbacks, end arounds, things like that. And then with the game on the line, it's just, we're going to run. We're going to run with Isaiah Crowell two times.
Everybody knew. I said, okay, is it going to be left? Is it going to be right? You knew that it was going to be a run. You just didn't know exactly which way they were going to go.
And Baltimore was all over it, of course. All game. All right, let's do some game balls. Let's give out 2 each. How's that sound?
Oh boy, I gotta find two.
You got 2? I'll tell you who.
Okay. All right. I think I have 2.
I got 1. I know. I got 1. And it's the guy whose name we can't pronounce. Lorenzo Taliaferro.
Wait a minute. You're giving game balls to a Baltimore Raven?
I'm not allowing this. We're not allowed to give them to the other team.
No, we're not.
Wow.
No. I'm not allowing that. I'm putting the kibosh on that. It's got to be a Brown.
It's got to be a Cleveland Brown. By the way, if you have game balls, 216-772-1373.
Forget the Ravens.
All right, well, now you got to rethink things.
There would be too many to give out. Okay, pick one. Steve Smith, dude whose name I can't pronounce, Joe-Flacco. No, we're not giving game balls to the Ravens. I don't like the Ravens.
All right, fine. No game balls for the Ravens.
Yes.
All right, go ahead then. I'll let you go first.
Okay, fine. I'll give 2. All right, I'll start with Andrew Hawkins.
All right.
Dude can't be covered. Nobody in the NFL can figure out a way to cover this guy. He is wide open every single time Hoyer throws him the ball. If they need a third down conversion, go to Andrew Hawkins, because there's not going to be a defender within 2 yards of him. And if there is, he's going to make that dude look silly and flail away. I don't know why they don't throw to him, 10, 12 times per game, because I know he's getting open. It doesn't matter what cornerback is on him either. He can be a 6'2 guy, can be a 5'9 guy. Doesn't matter. He just finds his way to get open all the time, and he catches everything thrown his way. Andrew Hawkins gets 1 for me. And the other little guy, Taylor Gabriel.
Oh, I like Taylor Gabriel.
Undrafted free agent. This is a guy that the Browns wanted to keep on the roster. That's why they got rid of Nate Burleson, a veteran guy. Here's a dude who just goes out there, he makes plays.
Yeah.
He gets behind the defense. He had to circle around over and over again, waiting for Brian Hoyer's duck to land in his arms. But he's somebody else who is just going out there. You've never heard of the guy, and he makes plays.
Oh, love Taylor Gabriel. He's fantastic. And Travis Benjamin, by the way, should be very nervous whenever he sees Taylor Gabriel do something.
If you would have told me, Dan, through 3 games playing against the Steelers, the Saints, and the Ravens, that we would have no issues at all with the wide receivers, I would have told you that you were nuts. That was one of my biggest questions coming into this year was, can they replace Josh Gordon? Who's the guy that's going to step up in crunch time and make plays? Who's the guy that you can go to on third down? Now you can either go to Hawkins or Miles Austin or Taylor Gabriel, because in the first 3, just 3 games, I understand that small sample size, but in the first 3, those guys have been as good as you can ask.
And, credit to Kyle Shanahan for putting together an offense that allows these small receivers.
You're going to give a game ball to a coach?
I'm not giving it to a coach.
All right.
I'm not giving it to a coach.
Not giving
I'm
it
going to give it to
another.
I'm going to give it to a bigger receiver, though. I'm going to give it to Miles Austin.
Okay.
He had a nice game yesterday. This guy has shown up in the first 3 weeks. Caught a touchdown pass. Caught another touchdown pass when Brian Hoyer was about 10 yards past the line of scrimmage. That's besides the point.
So I'm watching the game at home with my girlfriend, right? And Brian Hoyer's just a million miles.
We got a call real quick. Let's take a call first before this story. Welcome to our Browns call-in show. What's your name? No. Wait for the call. There it is. All right, welcome to our Browns call-in show. What's your name? And it's gone. All right, continue with your story.
So Brian Hoyer is a million miles beyond the line of scrimmage. Everybody in the stadium knew it. Everybody at home knew it. The announcers knew it. Brian knew it. Miles Austin knew it. My girlfriend is going nuts. She's like, woo! Yeah! She's like, high-five me. And I'm like, no, babe, you can't do that. She's like, why not? It was a great pass. And I was like, well, he was 5 yards beyond where he's allowed to throw it.
I think it was more than 5. I think it was a good. He practically handed that ball off to Miles Austin.
Oh, stretching out for the pylon there.
But Miles Austin, I think, deserves a game ball for his performance yesterday. You took Andrew Hawkins, so I'm not gonna double up on Andrew Hawkins. I'll tell you who, and we've been hard on the defense, but I'm gonna let.
What are you doing?
I'm gonna let Paul Kruger and Tayshaun Gibson share a game ball.
Oh my goodness.
That's 2 weeks in a row where they have teamed up to force a turnover. It's not their fault that the offense couldn't convert. That turnover was huge. If the offense gets points there, the Browns win.
I can't believe you're giving it to somebody on the defensive
They're
side of the
sharing
ball.
it. Paul Kruger and Tayshaun Gibson. If they were roommates, they could keep it on like a mantle.
I'm not even going to start with Tayshaun Gibson. I'm not. I'm just going to let you have that. That's fine.
All right.
Guys,
that's kind of going back. That's kind of a combo this week to last week.
Come on now. The defense was the
defense
issue.
Was terrible.
Would you admit that?
But in the second half, the defense was a lot better, and that was one of the reasons why.
So Paul Kruger made a play. A play.
You took Andrew Hawkins from me.
Tayshaun Gibson did nothing except for field a play.
Had an interception.
Well, Tayshaun Gibson, this big ball hawk. Oh my goodness, he's always around the football. He just sat there and he was just like, la-di-di-di, la-di-da-da. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
What did he do on that play?
He caught the football.
Can somebody explain it? Okay. Isn't that where the bar is?
On the defense, yes.
Oh my goodness.
On this defense, yes.
Can't believe you're giving it to
Miles
somebody
Austin,
on defense.
though. That's my guy.
I
really like that game ball.
I thought you were going to give one to Crow.
You know, Crow was good, but those runs, I don't know.
I can't believe you're giving it to Crow.
Crow's moved ahead of West, right?
Well, look, I think
you're backed up trying to run out the clock. It wasn't Terrence West running the ball.
Yeah. I think Crow is more talented.
I think so,
I'll
too.
say that much. I think he fits this offense better. I'm starting to wonder, though, Dan, if either guy, West or Crowell, has done enough to keep Ben Tate on the bench following the bye week.
Because not after yesterday.
I think a lot of people feel like West is somebody who had a nice game last week against New Orleans. Obviously, he had that 100-yard game against the Steelers, but Ben Tate was brought here for a reason. He knows the system. He knows the offense. He's a talented guy. He just fumbles a lot and he gets hurt. So I'm with you. I don't think after yesterday they did enough against a quality defense to keep Ben Tate on the sideline.
We talk a lot about ceilings with guys. I think Terrence West can be good. I think Isaiah Crowell, and he's a long ways from this. I think he can be very, very good. The ceiling he has, his speed, his ability to hit the hole. I mean, you see it when he runs the ball. With Terrence West, he's a grinder. He's going to grind out yards. Isaiah Crowell is a big play back. He's got that ability.
If I were to get a third game ball, I'd give it to everybody on the offensive line.
Oh, that's good.
Because if you think back to the last couple of games, the win against New Orleans and yesterday's almost win against Baltimore, when was the last time Brian Hoyer was touched?
He's got lots of time.
He's got tons of time. And that's...
he took a couple of hits yesterday, but they weren't big hits, and the ball was gone when he took them.
And maybe that's part of the reason why Travis Benjamin is getting open the way that he is, and Andrew Hawkins and Taylor Gabriel able to get open because the offensive line's been so good. Brian Hoyer has all the time in the world. You know, I was watching a lot of games around the NFL yesterday because after the Browns, I just wanted to do something else. Something else, anything else. So I watched some football. Peyton Manning would kill for the kind of time that Brian Hoyer has gotten in the first 3 games. Obviously, there are a number of other quarterbacks that would love to play behind this offensive line. And that's not just pass protection, it's run blocking too. Terrence West, Isaiah Crowell, there are times, Dan, that they get the ball and they're not touched for 5, 7 yards.
There was a play yesterday where West took a handoff, and as soon as he took the handoff, bolted through a hole. It was one of the fastest times I've seen a running back hit a hole because it opened up so early. And it was just wide open. He ran right through it. It was impressive. All right, listen, Brian Hoyer. I got a little something for you here.
Here we go. What do you have?
I got back here. I gotta go. I'll be right back.
Oh my
goodness. I gotta get behind our set here. I've drawn a little picture here. Now you've been pretty hard on our guy, Mr. Hoyer.
Okay.
Okay. So I got this big whiteboard here.
Yeah.
See that? See that? It's a big whiteboard. See where we are? Okay.
What is this? So now, what is he wearing?
This was him on ESPN last week, right? This was him, and he's wearing like this Darth Vader shirt. He was getting all kinds of love last week. So he's driving this train. See, I got the cow catcher on the front. I got the steam engine right there, because I think Hoyer's old school. He's going to drive a steam engine. He's shoveling the coal in.
So is this the front?
Yeah, that's where the cow catcher is.
Okay, all right.
That's right, that's in the front. It pushes like the cows out of there or something.
I don't have a great knowledge of trains.
Yeah, I don't really either. I just know. I know what a cow catcher is. Now, okay, so I'm going to put Johnny Manziel on here too.
Johnny's on the train?
I'm going to put him, yeah, because, well, you know, he said that he was proud of Brian Hoyer.
Yes.
And Brian Hoyer hit him with that pass yesterday, so Johnny's probably feeling pretty good. We'll put him in a little number 2 jersey there.
There you go. That's perfect. He has no arms, but who needs them when you just run all the time? So I think
you make a lead and you run. You don't need arms.
Right.
So that's Johnny, but I got to know, Fedor, because I think you were probably back here at the beginning of the year. You probably weren't even on the train. You were probably like at the station.
Where's the station where you get on?
I don't know.
I was on that ledge.
So I want to know.
I
got to know where you are now, following yesterday on the old Brian Hoyer train.
Okay.
Look at him driving that thing in his
so
Darth
that's
Vader
the front.
shirt.
Johnny's there.
Yeah. But this is like the caboose. Dining. I'm assuming they would have like dining back there.
All right. I'm trying to figure out where I want to put myself here. Because look, there's still some questions I have about Brian Hoyer here. But he has been good in the first 3.
Right.
I have to give it up to him. I was hard on him at the beginning. But that drive against New Orleans, very impressive. The fact that he did what he did to Baltimore's defense, hey, that was the toughest test that he faced on defense so far.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a good game. But he missed the plays down the stretch, and those are the ones that define you. So I still have some questions here, Dan. I'm wondering if he can still be consistent if he doesn't have a running game. If some defense loads up to try and take that running game away, and they put more on his plate, and he has to do more with the offense, I still wonder if he can do that. If a team puts pressure on him, I'm wondering how he's going to handle it. He didn't face a lot of pressure against Pittsburgh. He didn't face a lot of pressure against New Orleans or Baltimore. And part of that is because the offensive line's been so good. So I still have those questions. I'm not there. I used to be there.
Okay.
Actually, I used to be there in the station, like watching the.
I didn't draw the station on there.
So I'm not there. Put me right here.
All right.
Still in the back half.
Behind Johnny.
Right.
That's okay. You have arms, by the way.
Arms. That's
you
cool.
have arms. All right. So here you are.
Yeah. Put me there.
Right there. So you're a couple cars back.
Yeah.
Now, had they won yesterday, where would you be like up here? Would you be driving the train?
If he
would
if he would have made that throw to Andrew Hawkins, and that would have pretty much killed the rest of the game. It would have killed the clock. I would not be driving it. All right. I would not. I would probably be like there, right in the middle,
kind of walking in between.
Just walking in between, almost there, but not quite there.
It's probably a little dangerous. I wouldn't do that if I were you.
I've seen
maybe.
Speed.
I don't know.
I've seen Speed. Those things can.
I'll tell you what you would have been doing is you would have been looking for one of these shirts.
Look at that shirt.
That's what I think you would have been doing.
That is incredible.
How many local companies would have been lined up outside Brian Hoyer's door, just waiting to do the hometown hero commercials? Had he won that game yesterday?
Are we doing this every week?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, every week. I might have to redraw the train every week. I don't know. Chris Fedor, he is 3 cars back.
Right. So I'm right
behind Johnny.
Right.
On the Brian Hoyer train.
So there are 3 cars in the front, 3 in the back. So I'm right there in the middle.
What grade does Hoyer get?
For yesterday, gosh, he didn't win. He missed that throw to Hawkins. He left the touchdown out there too, Dan. That's the other thing. That throw to Taylor Gabriel, he was, 5 yards beyond any defender? He was so open.
Everybody in the stadium, the minute that ball got released, knew it was 6.
Should have been a touchdown. Should have been a touchdown. You know what it turned into? 0.
Yeah.
0. So you have to look at those kinds of things. And the numbers are terrific. 19 of 25, the quarterback rating, outstanding. But he didn't win the game. He left some opportunities out there, and when you play against Baltimore, one of the best teams in the AFC, you can't leave points out there, you can't leave opportunities out there. I'll say a B-.
Okay.
A little bit better than average.
I think that's fair.
Okay.
You can't give him an A because he didn't win. You know, Dennis Manoff, who does his grades we were talking about this yesterday, you can't give him an A because he didn't win. Had a great first 3 quarters, 3-ish quarters. So he probably gets at least a B on those. And then, like you said, he missed that throw. That brings him down. I think I'm going to go with you B-.
I still just want to see what happens to Brian when more is expected of him.
Yeah.
Because at this point, he's doing what's asked. And he's leaning on that running game. He's leaning on that offensive line. And I still have questions about if he's got to go out and he's got to carry the offense. I'm just not convinced that he can do that.
To me, this is where Brian Hoyer, first of all, I think it's good that we're going into this bye week and we're not sitting here wondering, okay, are they going to hand things over to Johnny? I think that's a good thing.
Dan, I'm right there with you. I thought it was going to be Brian for the first 3 games. Then I thought it was going to be Johnny Manziel making his debut against the Titans, and Brian Hoyer has proven me wrong.
And I think it's good that we're not going to spend the next 2 weeks talking about that. But to me, Brian Hoyer, look, Steelers won yesterday. Mm-hmm. They're 2-1 now. Mm-hmm. The Ravens beat the Browns. They're 2-1. The Browns are, guess what, in last place again. Yeah. They should have won yesterday. They should be sitting at 2-1 as well. Right. So now I think you're in a situation where you've got Tennessee on the road. You've got the Steelers. Mm-hmm. You've got the Jaguars on the road. You've got the Raiders and the Bucs at home. You got 5 games before you have to go to Cincinnati on Thursday night. This is it. Brian Hoyer has to figure out a way for this team, I think, to win 4 of those games.
Yeah.
I don't think 4-1 is an unrealistic expectation from those games.
I don't either. I mean, if you look at
Are you impressed by the Steelers? I know that was a big win last night against a good team, but body of work, are you impressed with the Steelers that much?
Well, yeah, I think they still have the talent advantage over the Browns. There are certain matchups that are in favor of the Browns. But I can't ignore the Steelers getting out to a 27-3 lead against the Browns. That was real. That happened. And them going to Carolina, that was a huge win.
Enormous.
An absolutely huge win. Now, they got banged up in that game. But some of the things that the Steelers do well, those are things that the Browns have had an issue with in the first 3. The Browns have had a hard time stopping the run. Le'Veon Bell looks like he's got the ability to be a star. And you saw what he did in the first half against the Browns. Antonio Brown against Joe Hayden, that's a matchup that Antonio Brown continues to win over and over and over again. So as long as Pittsburgh has those 2 things on their side, and they've got the quarterback advantage too, Big Ben against Brian Hoyer, I think that's the game that I look at and say that would be the one that the Browns would drop. Other than that, the Browns are better than Jacksonville, they're better than Oakland, and they're better than Tampa Bay and Tennessee. They should win all those games.
Exactly. I'm with you. And if you were looking at that stretch of 2-1, man, you'd be in really good shape if you went 4-1. But still, if you go 4-1, you're right back into things. You're right back where you need to be going to that tough game in Cincinnati on a Thursday night. Then the schedule gets really difficult again. You got the Falcons waiting for you. You got the Panthers. You got the Bengals twice. You got the Colts. But you get through those games, good things can happen. All right, before we go, let's take one call here on our Browns show. Caller, how are you? What's your name?
My name is Marlene.
All right, Marlene, what have you got for us?
Am I on the air now?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I'm calling from Cincinnati, Ohio. How are you all doing today? I'm a first-time caller.
All right, good. I think everybody's a first-time caller at this point.
Yes, a first-time caller ever on this show. How about that?
All right.
I just want to make a few comments. First of all, I know it's kind of hard living in the rival city, but I'm originally from Northeast Ohio. Very disappointed about that loss yesterday. Very disappointed. I thought the special teams could have done a better job. The defense got exposed, and you know I'm a diehard. I bleed brown and orange, but it's getting a little tiring of seeing this. And you know sometimes I wonder if the coaches and the players feel as bad as we as the fans feel after they lose. I'm kind of getting tired of it. I don't think they realize we bleed and eat brown and orange every day, and we take this personal. You know, being Browns fans and being from Northeast Ohio. And I really want to know how those coaches feel. Is it just a paycheck? Are they taking this thing serious, or they're going to go back to the drawing board and say, look, guys, we got to correct this? Because it seems to me like, you know, they just lose it in the fourth quarter every time. I don't know what it is, but I'm a little tired, and it's hard. It's really hard.
Well, in fairness to the Browns, they don't lose it in the fourth quarter every time. In fact, they had that game-winning touchdown against the New Orleans Saints, and that was huge. Yeah. That was a huge building block. And then to your point, Marlene, I get the sense that Mike Pettin took this one hard. He even said, this is on me. Agree. I didn't do a better job. I didn't do a good enough job. I have to do a better job moving forward.
But we have to see it, though, too. Talking the talk and walking the walk, you know, we have to see it on the field. Okay, it's one thing to say we're going to correct it, but then we lose it with Pittsburgh. We played only one half of football. Then we come back and we lose the same way. We're 1-2. We win this game. We're right in the mix with the Bengals and Pittsburgh. You know, we're right in the mix, but we can't keep dropping games like that. I'm kind of tired of excuses, okay? And if he really means it, I want to see it on the field. I want to see us get into those dog fights, and I want to see us pull those games out. I take this personal because I'm a huge fan.
Sure. I think a lot of fans take it that way. I appreciate the call, Marlene.
It's a good call.
I would say, though, look, they did drop the game against the Steelers, and the Browns said, hey, we've got to get better. We've got to make adjustments. We've got to figure some things out offensively and defensively. And then they beat New Orleans. Yeah. They did. They made those adjustments. Now it's time for Mike Pettin to let this one sink in, go into the bye week. He's got a sour taste in his mouth now, Dan. Go into the bye week, correct some issues that you have, if they can be corrected, and come out against Tennessee on the road and beat Tennessee because they should beat Tennessee.
And I think this coaching staff, one of the things people love about Mike Pettin right now, he says what he feels. He lays it all out there. He takes blame. What did he say after the Steelers game? What's it called when you almost win? You lose.
You lose.
What did he say after the Saints game? What's it called when you almost lose? You win. So this is a guy who's honest. Maybe he says a little too much. But if there's a coach that I believe takes this loss as hard as everyone else, it's Mike Pettin. Now, again, like Marlene said, actions. You got to win. You got to show the results. But this is it. This is a chance for Mike Pettin now to get in the bye, come out, play these next 5 games, see where you are heading into the tough part of the schedule.
And again, Dan, it wasn't just on the coaches yesterday. It was on Brian Hoyer as well. It was on the defense. It was on Joe Hayden. It was on special teams. You could look at a lot of different issues yesterday, but I love the fact that Mike Pettin, the head coach, said, put this on me. I didn't do enough. I should have been better. Because that's the coach holding himself to a different kind of level. A level that maybe it didn't seem like Rob Chudzinski held himself to, or Pat Shurmur. He took responsibility for that, and that's being accountable. And if you're going to ask for your players to be accountable, you have to be as well. And I think that's a great example for the rest of the team.
All right, that'll do it. We are wrapping up here on our Browns call-in show on cleveland.com every Monday at 10 o'clock. You can join us, jump in the comments, call in, however you want to talk. We'll have a chat with Mary Kay Cabot coming up at noon. So if you have any Browns questions, you can ask those in our live chat at noon. For Chris Fedor, I'm Dan Labbe. Marlene, thanks for calling. Thank you all for watching.